Hey guys, my name's Steph, I'm Botanist Cool, and today we're putting Pikmin into D&D 5e. As always guys, a huge thank you for your support when it comes to my D&D adventure here on YouTube. I can't thank you enough for all the positive feedback I've been getting. And for those of you guys who are joining for the first time, Quest Helper is a series all about the positivity, the creativity, and providing resources to veterans and newbies alike for D&D, just having fun and enjoying ourselves within this creative space. If that sounds cool to you, hit that subscribe button, like button, notification bell, leave comments, all that good stuff, and let's get on with the video. So there's two primary reasons why I'm doing this topic today. First and foremost, one of our community members, Ethno, actually suggested this topic on our Discord down below. Feel free to take a look at the description and join on in. And I've been absolutely obsessed with Pikmin Bloom, and I love the Pikmin franchise as a whole. They warm my heart. It's pure, it's puzzles, it's fun. I just love it. I think it's one of Nintendo's best franchises personally, and I think they should do a lot more with it. Now, to put Pikmin into D&D 5e, it's actually not very hard. There's a canon way of doing it with the rules as written, which we'll talk about, and then there's something I put in that's going to be a little more true to the Pikmin lore and the Pikmin vibes versus just kind of fitting it into D&D. But first, let's talk about the actual rules as written version of how you put Pikmin into D&D 5e. Now, your first instinct might be to go Druid, and that's not a bad first instinct, but I'm gonna posit this. The Ranger Swarm Keeper class is actually the best rules as written class for something like Pikmin. You can find the information on this class in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which you could find in the book itself, or you could go online and look for the resources there as well, which I personally highly suggest. I'm just gonna read it right off the website I'm using, and because it's YouTube, I don't know what I'm allowed to show and stuff, so I'm just gonna read it off to you guys and kind of give you the TLDR. At 3rd level, a swarm of intangible nature spirits has bonded itself to you and can assist you in battle. Until you die, the swarm remains in your space, crawling on you or flying and scaling around you in your space. So it takes up the same 5-foot space you take up, and that's a very important factor. It doesn't stay away from you, it stays right next to you. On each of your turns, you can cause a swarm to assist you in one of the following ways after you hit a creature. First, your swarm could do 1d6 piercing damage against the target. Second, the target must succeed a strength saving throw DC or be moved up to 15 feet away in any horizontal direction by your swarm. Or third, the swarm can move you 5 feet horizontally in any direction. These are all great choices. First and foremost, you have the 1d6 extra damage. Mwah, beautiful. Secondly, you could force the enemy into a specific position. If you know there's a trap somewhere or an exploding barrel, or you know there's an ally nearby that once you force them to that position, they will then get an attack of opportunity on them. You could have a lot of fun with that positioning stuff. This is like Fire Emblem levels positioning maneuvers, and you can have a lot of fun with it. And of course, you basically get a free disengage if you want to move yourself 5 feet any which way. And then you could run around, you could hide, you could do a whole bunch of other stuff. It is a lot of things you could do. Of course, as a ranger, you're also getting a lot of spells, and some of these spells, specifically for swarm keeping, can include things like Mage Hand, which you could kind of have as a swarm of your little Pikmin going about, getting something and bringing it over to you, catching things, bringing it over to you, etc. You could have it being Insect Plague, which is another spell you get at 17th level, and that just has the plague of Pikmin going out and attacking all your enemies. And any spell you do, like Burning Hands, you're summoning red fire Pikmin, or water breathing, you're summoning blue Pikmin to help you out with your oxygen stuff. There's a lot of options you could actually do to kind of flavor these spells to actually act as your Pikmin and your nature spirits. So there's a lot of fun you can have with that. Be creative with the spells. That's going to be the trickiest part in really flavoring it as Pikmin. You got to be a little creative with those spells. So there's also spells like Web, Gaseous Form, and stuff like that, which may not apply as much, but talk to your DM, maybe they'll mess around with some things for you. Then at level 7, as a bonus action, you gain a flying speed of 10 feet and can hover. This is called Writhing Tide. Now, this is just pink Pikmin picking you up and making you fly, kind of like that upbeat in Super Smash Bros. No big deal. You get 10 feet of flying speed for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated, and you can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all expended uses after you finish a long rest. That's just easy flying right there. If you want to do some quick flying, and it's not gonna be the fastest thing in the world, you're not gonna use it as an escape plan. You're gonna use this more than likely as a form of just exploration. You want to know what's on the top of that tree. For a minute, you're flying 60 feet with these guys and making sure you understand what's around you. Nice and easy. At level 11, you get Mighty Swarm, which doesn't change your stuff too much, but it kind of makes those 3 original things I mentioned before boosted. First and foremost, you could now do 1d8 damage instead of 1d6. Secondly, if the creature fails its saving throw from being pushed, it's actually knocked prone, which is beautiful. And if you're ever moved by the swarm, it actually gives you half cover. It's harder to hit you at that point, and that's just fantastic. Of course, look up the cover rules and talk to the DM about that, but it really does help quite a bit. And last but not least, at level 15, you get Swarming Dispersal. You can actually discorporate into your swarm, which, oh boy. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like those films where this person summons bugs and stuff like that, and they just kind of disappear into the bugs. That's basically it. You're disappearing into your own Pikmin. When you take damage, you use your reaction to give yourself resistance to that damage. You vanish into your swarm and then teleport to an unoccupied space you see within 30 feet of you, where you reappear with the swarm. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. That's actually really good. Resistance halves all your damage done to you, so that's pretty fantastic. And you just kind of teleport 30 feet away at max. That's not half bad itself. If you're just getting stabbed at by someone, boop, you're gone. One end, you're good. So I gave you the TLDR of Swarm Keeper. I highly recommend going online, looking up the Ranger Swarm Keeper subclass from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Absolutely fantastic, and that's the best way. Rules as written, you're gonna get Pikmin. All right, I'm on the right side of the screen now, which means I'm introducing some homebrew for you guys to have fun with. And of course, if you're DMing, modify it however you want to. Today, we're talking about the onion. Not just the Pikmin, but the onion itself. In fact, we're gonna go piece by piece. We're gonna take the left side, the middle, and then the right, talk all about it, and talk what you can do with this as a DM and as a player. First and foremost, the onion is the housing for the Pikmin. It is a tiny, true neutral plant. Basically, it's not evil, it's not good, it's not upholding any laws or anything like that. It's just trying to survive out there, do its best for its own population, and keep Pikmin going longer. The Pikmin and the onion have a proficiency modifier of +3. Their skills, the outright ones that are important, are stealth and survival with a +5 and a +4. These guys live in a hard area and they have to be careful around predators, so that stealth is important. The onion releases these little like stands or twigs that it kind of stands on during the day, right? And I always imagine that when the pole bulbs kind of like stomp around during the night and come closer to it, that it can feel those stomping arounds, and that's when it knows when to leave and go up into the night sky and gather its Pikmin. I just feel like that's how it does it. I don't know if that's exactly how it does it, but I just imagine that's how it does it. It's probably the easiest way for it to do it and sense it without Olimar and everyone being there, right? That's a passive perception of 12, which not great, but the onion doesn't have eyes, and a dexterity and wisdom proficiency modifier for those saving throws, which means if it has to run around a dex spell or a wisdom spell, you know, it has a little bit of a bonus to that, +3. Aside all their good stuff with the stats, right? The swarms could walk or run or whatever 15 feet per turn, while the onion can actually fly 30 feet a turn. All the swarms have 20 HP with an armor class of 12. So this is a quantity over quality situation. You want more Pikmin to do more damage and surround your opponent, instead of summoning one big wolf-sized and shaped Pikmin that just decimates everybody. But that's kind of what we're going after. Quantity over quality. Now let's start talking about some of the traits the onion has. First and foremost, the home of many. The onion is a home to dozens of creatures called Pikmin. The stats apply to the Pikmin the onion can summon, not the onion itself. The next thing is the ability, summoning. This is the most important ability the onion has because it summons Pikmin. The onion can take an action to summon a specific type of Pikmin swarm it has access to. As a bonus action, it can randomly summon one type as well. Roll a d8 to determine the type. As a standard action, the onion can command up to 3 swarms and have a max of 5 summoned. Simply put, your onion can summon 5 swarms at max, can use 3 of them at any turn, and can summon at max 3 a turn. And let's get with that real quick. First and foremost, I can take a standard action to summon a swarm of its choice. It can summon red, yellow, blue. It can summon anything it wants to, right? Or it can take that turn to command its Pikmin already out on the field. So you have a kind of catch-22. You do damage and command the Pikmin, or do you summon more to aid you? The good news is, as a bonus action, it can also summon a random Pikmin, just like evacuate, get out, we need defense kind of deal. And if you're lucky and roll an 8, you actually get to roll for 2 types of Pikmin. Now let's talk about the types of Pikmin really quickly and get going on that with it right now. The red Pikmin are immune to fire and do 1d8 piercing damage, not 1d6 bludgeon damage. Now the red Pikmin had a big old proboscis on the end of their nose. That's what it's called, a proboscis, and they just kind of like bonk, bonk, bonk against the enemy. So they're just kind of like stabbing the enemy with that proboscis. That's a piercing damage in my opinion. The yellow ones can glide or be thrown 60 feet, not just 30, which can be important for the onion to gather things around it like nectar, etc. The blue Pikmin can breathe in the water, of course, classic. The white Pikmin can do 1d4 acid damage on a hit. Basically, they hit something and then they do an extra 1d4 acid damage. The purple Pikmin can push opponents 5 feet with a strength DC of 13 and have 40 HP. So double HP for the purple Pikmin, and they can push enemies away. That is a huge bonus and a great situational bonus as well. Pink Pikmin can actually fly 30 feet per turn. Fantastic stuff. Gray Pikmin can roll a crit on 19 or 20. They are rocks after all, and being hit with a rock hurts a lot. And have a +2 to AC. They can't really be squished really easily, so that's how I justify that. They have a +2 to AC. It's a little harder to hit them. And if you roll 8, you actually summon 2 types. So as a encounter, this is actually relatively threatening, especially if it already has 3 or 4 Pikmin summoned. It doesn't need to summon more Pikmin if it has some out already. If it has a purple, red, a red, and a white, then it has levels, it has a good defense and a good ability to defend itself against you, the aggressor, assuming you're attacking it, right? So it doesn't need to summon one immediately. You take its bonus action just to fly one out and see what happens, but it's not super important. That being said, there's a lot it could do, and I think there's a lot of fun ways you make this encounter a very memorable one and a good one for people just to kind of understand the concept of how swarms work. Now let's get on to the next part and talk about the swarm trait. Swarms can occupy another creature's space and vice versa. A swarm can move through any opening large enough for a tiny creature. The swarm can't regain hit points or gain temporary hit points. Basically, once a swarm is damaged, the swarm is damaged. That's it, right? You could, of course, have it as a long rest will replenish the swarm's health, but the creature itself is the onion. As long as the onion doesn't die, it can just shoot out more swarms. In my personal opinion, that's how I would run it, but that's just kind of how swarms work. You can't regain their health, they're just damaged. It's basically like saying you killed 8 Pikmin in the swarm of 16. They're gone. They're dead. You know what I'm saying? You can't really just like resurrect all of them. This trait is the one that's really interesting. And this is a homebrew trait. Domestication. The onion can be domesticated with an animal handling roll of 18. The DM can decide if more actions are required to domesticate the onion. As an example, do you need to bring the onion flowers for the Pikmin to drink? Do you need to show that you're an ally somehow by helping them build something, do something? Do you have to rescue them from a big web of spiders? So on and so forth. You don't get these Pikmin allies for free. No. You gotta work for it. After domesticating the onion, the player can summon up to 3 Pikmin swarms the same way the onion can, and command 1 per bonus action in combat. You are not the onion. You work with the onion, but you cannot command the Pikmin the same way the onions do. So the onion can command 3, you can command 1. And you can only have 3 out at any point. The onion could have 5. Now, the DM might be chill and say, hey, listen, if you want the onion to do its own thing, I'll roll for my separate thing, and it'll do its own thing, and it'll choose its own thing that I will make it do. But if you want to command the Pikmin, you need to understand that you're going to only have 1 Pikmin swarm under your belt at any time to use, and you'll have 3 that kind of just sitting there and might just die at random points in time. That being said, they do occupy the same space as you can, so it's a little beneficial. You're not going to really have them hurt as easily as you yourself can be hurt. The next trait, once again, it's more of a customized one that I did. It's just a fragile home base. The onion itself has 30 HP and a 10 AC. It's not able to really attack anything, and it's pretty squishy. It could die very quickly. That's why it has Pikmin protecting it all around. And last but not least, the actions it could do, simply put, attack. Each swarm is capable of attacking by using their heads as a bludgeon weapon. Some Pikmin can do special damage listed under the ability summoning section. They get a +5 to hit using the dexterity modifier as the to hit, and they could do 1d6 +2 bludgeon damage for every hit. That +2 once again comes from dexterity and will still apply to the 1d8 piercing damage that the red Pikmin do on their own. That's kind of what I imagine you could make Pikmin look like in D&D 5e, and a fun way of really introducing this Nintendo franchise into the game. I'm curious to hear your opinions and your thoughts. What did you think about the Swarmkeeper subclass for Ranger? What did you think about the homebrew? Leave those comments down below, and if you want to access the homebrew at any point in time, hit that link down below to the Google Drive that has all that good stuff for you at any point in time. Enjoy it, have fun, use it, and edit it, all that good stuff, right? I just want to know how you guys are going to use it, and if you'd put it in your D&D campaign. Chat me up, I'd love to hear it. And of course, if you guys can, hit the subscribe button, the like button, the notification bell, all that YouTube jargon, and all that good stuff. Discord's down in the link, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, I'll see you guys next week for another rousing video of Quest Helper, and as always, thank you so much for your support. I can't thank you enough. Stay safe and stay Botanist Cool. I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.